This is the story of Ringfield, a HO gauge model railroad which I planned, designed, constructed and operated. I commenced in 2009 and finished running in 2020. The majority of the locomotives and rolling stock is Australian outline, majoring in the New South Wales Government Railways. It does not represent any specific time period, but rather reflects a railway as I would like to see it. Each locomotive is fitted with a digital command control sound chip, programmed to as closely match the locomotive as possible. We have commenced with an overview of the layout, and shortly we'll focus in on each individual scene. We now have a look at the main station, Ringfield. Oh dear, what a bad dog. Granny's Place is a small hobby farm located just down the hill from Ringfield Station. Granny has just fed her goldfish. At the far eastern end of the station is the locomotive depot. 1306 is a fictitious English electric locomotive with its characteristic engine growl. I've installed KD electric uncouplers at strategic points throughout the layout. The train is stopped over an uncoupling ramp, reversed slightly to release pressure on the couplers, then the uncoupler button is energised and the train is pulled forward to uncouple it. To spot the train away from the ramp, we need to push the button again, which sets the couplers apart. Then we push the train back to where we want it to be, and when we then bring it forward again, it uncouples. I have fitted each electric uncoupler with an electronic timer. Each time I push the button, the uncoupler energises for about 6 to 7 seconds. At the eastern corner lies Church Hill. We arrive just as the wedding ceremony is concluding. The local steam haul passenger train heads down to the Western Wetlands. Our next point of interest is the lookout, complete with some Australian wildlife on the hill. The circus is in town. They've brought several of the camels down to graze on the grass. The local kangaroos seem to get on very well with the camels. The local goods all by 1306, stop to drop up some feedstock for the animals. $54.88 is an import, a genuine USA SD40-2 locomotive on trial. It unfortunately had a major breakdown shortly after this was shot and had to be withdrawn from service. The next place we'll visit is Coaldale Station. When I put these light posts in, one of them moved before the glue set. I had the option of breaking the glue and resetting it, but before that happened, this fella here crashed his forklift into it. The westbound tracks rise at a 1.5% grade from here to the lookout cutting. From the hill, above where those camels are grazing, we can watch the action at Coaldale. The staff will be happy, the pay bus is right on time. Farmer Jack seems totally oblivious to his barn burning down. Thanks to my oldest son and his wife, they built the barn for me and also set on the light at the push of a button. They also made all of the gum trees which are on the layout. The bridge spanning the doorway is the next feature we pass once we leave Coaldale Station. This is Eastbrook. At this point, the main line is descending at a 2% grade as far as the bridge our train has just crossed. The branch line behind the main is rising, also at a 2% grade as far as the upper bridge. At Ringfield Station, they are both at the same level. Granny's sister has walked up here from the farm to keep an eye on the grazing cattle. Granny's grandchildren have strung a rope between the tree and the ground so they can slide down. That bull has knocked down the fence again. We've just had a look at some videos of the layout as it stands today. And now, let's take a trip back in time, back to August 2010, and have a look at the layout under construction.
We have safely achieved our time travel.
We are now back on Tuesday, the 31st of August 2010. The layout at this point of history is bare bones. The track work is in and installed and working perfectly.
I commenced construction of my layout on the 7th of March 2009. Lucky enough to have a spare bedroom, and it measured 3.84 metres by 2.7 metres. And so what I had to do, first of all, get hold of reams of A4 paper and a pencil and started to work out prospective plans of what would fit into this bedroom. Not only did I have to design the track work, I had to design the bench work as well. I didn't get my movie camera until 2010, so for the first year I just had a few still photographs that I took.
Once I had designed the track plans on paper, it was time to draw them out on poster board, cut them out, and then lay them onto the benchwork to see if they all fitted. The joist the cardboard is lying on top of the benches, are not yet bolted down. This is just a test fit stage in the construction. I didn't want to compromise any area of my room by knocking down walls, so I designed this S-band to loop the tracks around the edge of the built-in wardrobe.
I built two fold-down bridges to fill the gap over the doorways. I'll show you how they work. Fold the first one down, just clip it into place, and then I'll fold the second one down and clip that one into place. There we are, there's the bridge in place and ready for trains to run. The bridges are built using flush overlay hinges.
I've just noticed that one of the bridge railings has come loose. I need to drop a glue to hold it in place.
And this end here just clips into place. One thing I didn't want was trains running off the edge, so I built in two little micro switches. There he is there. The bridge comes down, presses the switch and turns the power on. Both bridges have a switch on them. I designed these bridges to be able to clear the doorway. So the door open and close, and misses the layout by about that.
Now we return to the construction phase. The track bed and the rails then followed on plywood, raised up to the height I had planned. One major problem when laying track is forming a kink between two pieces of track. I have overcome this by staggering the rail joints. The track is Pico Code 83 and all the points are live frog. There's also some Code 70 rail at Lions End Station. Oh, this is a fearful time. The supervising engineer is inspecting the quality of my work.
Every curve on the layout I've built up using transition curves, and now I'll give you a bit of an explanation of what a transition curve actually is. When we turn the corner with the motor vehicle, every corner we take is a transition curve. Think about it, as we turn the wheel, we first of all start doing a very broad radius curve, then we progressively tighten the curve until we get to the point of full lock, and at that point the vehicle is doing a minimum radius curve, and then we progressively straighten the wheel up again until the point we're going straight ahead. That's a transition curve, and that's what we're going to be doing on our model railway.
The safety lockout micro switches, which disable the layout power, are visible in these next few shots.
Once the track work is in and all the trains are running perfectly, then it was time to start building the scenery. I started with the back corner and I used a honeycomb of cardboard built up into the shape of the hill, and then placed masking tape over the top of it, and then used Chuck's super wipes with a thin layer of plaster, put them over the top, and when it dried then started to build it up with a thicker layer of plaster.
I made some plaster castings of rocks for the cutting. These will be plastered in place shortly. The brickwork I made out of plaster cast, which I then detailed and painted to look like ancient brickwork.
This is the finished product, and it's how it will look before it gets painted. The next step now is to go and paint it.
I used thin acrylic washes in grey, burnt sienna and forest green with thinned out black to highlight the mortar on the bricks.
Well, that's it. Brick wall is finished, I painted it and ready to install it. The water features, the lake and the rivers are built up using a woodland scenic product called Realistic Water. Just pour it on and wait for it to dry.
The rock faces and the cuttings were painted using spray bottles, not brushes, using the same technique as for the brickwork. The bare plaster has been painted and sprayed, and the trees have been planted. I drilled holes in the plaster and then planted the trees, fixing them in place with white glue. I designed and built an electrostatic grass maker to lay down the grass and lawns on the layout, including various lengths of flocking to simulate the different grasses.
I've installed some overhead strip lights to increase the lighting on the layout. Brings it up to a natural daylight colour.
Here's the effect on the layout. We have concluded our time travel. We have now returned to the layout in its finished form in 2014.
I reckon the best way to have a look at my model railway is to take a trip around it.
We will now have a look at a section of the line on our return journey. We previously had a look at the main line. Now we'll travel over the branch line from Ringfield station to Line's End station. Some of our bus enthusiasts have repainted our rail bus in Devon General colours. This branch line climbs up at 2% grade as it leaves Ringfield station to get up to the bridge. As I previously mentioned, the main line here is descending at a 2% grade down to the lower bridge. From there, as it passes through Coaldale station, it rises at a 1.5% grade to arrive back at Ringfield station on level ground.
At the end of the branch line, we find Line's End station.
Here we have the Derek Hislop tractor dealer. He's set up and selling new and second-hand tractors. The apple trees were given to me by my daughter-in-law's sister. This corner section with the tractors is a lift-out module. I can easily remove it to service the track work, as it is too far to reach from the front of the layout. Like all good railways, it's a 24/7 operation, operating right through the night. This fella was here during daylight hours, the lengths that some people go to get out of work. There's nothing like saying goodbye to Ringfield the model railroad with an incident which will be embedded in the railroad's collective memory for years to come. Which is a political way of saying I forgot to flip a switch. This was my first attempt at a complete layout. It has been a rewarding experience, with the majority of the layout being exactly as I envisioned it. But there are a few things which I've learned through experience which I'll do differently in the future.